Acho nyaga kagamati mandi. Kagamati mandi. Kagamati mandi. Kagamati mandi. Chief Orok John Mbi, the chief of Okoyong village, chief of chiefs. Amanekulu, Papa Ibengwe. Sisiku of Gongsu Bisong, Mawole Mongong, General Manager Soweda, Papa Ibengwe. Professor Madam Enega Bechem, Registrar UB, Mama Ajo. Oh, Kinababo.
Oh, Taya Chito. Matumango. Oh, Taya Chito. Matumango. Fondero, Taya Chito. Matumango. Fondero, Taya Chito. Matumango.
Kayo Karuo. Okamongo Kinyonjo.
Matumango.
Okare.
Oh, Matumango.
Oh.
Matumango, Taya Chito. Afamanywe, Meba Chito. Matumango, Mbemanyo, Mbeya Chito. Matumango, Afamanywe, Meba Chito. Matumango, Afamanywe, Meba Chito. Matumango.
And no tiny tiku, like father, like son, great reformer, administrative baron, Papa Ibengwe.
Ado manyana poroso. Matumango, ado manyana poroso. Matumango, ado manyana poroso. Matumango, ado manyana poroso. Matumango,
Kanyo.
Matumango, Matumango, manyana poroso. Matumango, ado manyana poroso. Matumango,
Mega Donatus, Deputy General Manager of Pamol, Nsengwe Papa Gwe.
Matumango, Fako Yongo, Mia Ibe. Matumango, Fako Yongo, Mia Kamonyo. Matumango, Taya Ibe. Matumango, Fako Yongo, Mia Ibe. Matumango,
Senator Mfota Betando, the Minister Victor Mengot, Otama Kemamamo, Manyandorambu.
Taya Kabo, Wenabaye. Taya Kabo, Wenabaye. Sabara Kabo, Wenabaye. Sabara Kabo, Wenabaye.
Tata Asuba Keben Bini, Cyber Security USA, Papa Joe.
Taya Chito. Matumango, Taya Chito. Matumango, Taya Chito. Matumango, Taya Kabo. Matumango,
Kobomu.
Wenabaye. Wenabaye.
Oh,
Wenabaye. Wenabaye. Abamanywe, Meba Chito. Matumango, Abamanywe, Meba Chito. Matumango, Afamanywe, Meba Chito. Matumango, Afamanywe, Meba Chito. Matumango,
Onyare.
Sabab.
Oh,
Sabab.
okay, wo.
Sabab.
For Jacob Agbo of the Kwai Village, US base, Papa Kem the Kwai Adorambo. Oh, Kinababo. The regent of Okoyong, the petrol baron, Bateyaya, Papa Kem the Okoyong, Adorambo. Better we go. Chief Bayan Michael of Pepam, oh, the chief of Mbanga Pongo Justice, Papa Lukoyo. Kayo Karuo. The prophetic apostle, Dr. Hermitin Ayok, aka Jesus Man, the saint and philanthropist of Tenako Village, Papa Ajo. Go,
Yambame.
of Mbio village, Papa Ibokwe.
Epi makoni papa kwaya tibo acho.
Basimba,
Oh,
Basimba,
Okebo,
Basimba,
Kobo.
Basimba. Abayokina bayikajame. Basimba. Abayokina bayikajame. Abayokina bayikajame. Basimba. Abayokina bayikajame. Basimba.
Oh maga kaba.
Basimba.
Oh taya kaba.
Basimba.
Abatando taya kito.
Basimba.
Onjara taya kito.
Basimba.
Tamengore taya kito.
Basimba.
Babama taya kito.
Basimba.
Onyame,
Basimba.
Omongomongore nyango.
Basimba.
Seseko Ao, Samson Ao, Usengwe, Papa Agwe.
Abamatimanyama abasemtememba abamatimanyama abasemtememba abamatimanyama abasemtememba abamatimanyama abasemtememba Basimba.
Okayo karuo.
Basimba.
Ayo.
Abasemtememba Basimba. Abamatimanyama abasemtememba Basimba.
Betchama ko Mike Nyanti. Akolite nege. Sari neba. Agbo betem Bekete. My personal person. Ajao. Betchama go Samuel Agbo. Ajao. Agbo John Ajao. Betchama ko Makala Kongorai. Niya Kongori. Atwe toka shumga. Bega bo shumwe matumango. Betchama ko Makala ya Kongorai. Niya Kongori atwe toka shumga. Bega bo manuwe matumango. Eccoci ne chamti ngore neme e chamti bachima ko makane lidia enere ne bachani ne chamti ngore neme e chamti bachima ko makane agbolija enere anti camera bachima ko aon levi ajao Mami atira Sophie Boda Jao. Eko chanyi ngene beke bondire. Ene ba chanyi ngene beke bondire. Eko chanyi ngene beke bondire. Le ba chanyi ngene beke bondire. Ndaka konga beka na mero kria ndogo mbangore nduwe kerachak. Mami akbo kataran lebene tondu oko. Ndaka nebae Gorero criando kamba bakanen nduwe karachak. Professor Mfwagwebeche Peter Tambi of Ashum Village, Dean of University of Bamenda, Nenebenton Duoko. Agbon Kenga Jao, Ekonga Chia Chibeteke Commandem, Neva Chia Chibeteke Commandem, Ekonga Chibeteke Commandem, Never Chibeteke Commandem. Oh, Madame Patricia Bakume never neton du woko. Ombangore ya chewoke no ombombe kaka tamandeme. Toko Tambi Sami Ako Director General Mini Beckham Douala Jao. Ombani me tongwe konga ombombe kaka tamandeme. Ashu Sera Kunde never neton du woko. Are Helen Ajao.
Bachimako makala bangoria bangabese. Akongoria nagabese. Makalabo akongoria bangabese. Abangoria bangaboshu manto. Abangabo manyuba manto. Manto kasendo ko sendo. Bachimako makala bangori. Yeah bangabese. Bachimako makala akongoria bangabese. Bachimako makala bangoria bangabo manyu. Bangabo manyu nebo shuma. Wabo bachito.
Abe Regina Ajao.
Nyingana chamti ngore naname nabe nyingana chamti ngore naname wo chamti makala kone abalidia juna chamti ngore naname neba network ibo mamba momore atoka sendo
Atamakonja gotin kitchen. Nervene retondu wako.
nabe nyingana chamti ngore naname nabe nyingana chamti ngore naname chamti agbo makana abalidia naname Dona chamti ngore Nene ba tobe kibo mambo momore Sendo
Mami agbo bechem Emilia Ajao.
Konga chibete kata mandem Neba chibete kata mandem Abolidia chingara kemboa Aname kongo Abolidia neke Abolidia chingara kemboa Aname kongo
Agbo Chara Ajao. Bechem agbo Rosa Ajao.
Abolidia agona Maswa menkongi Abolidia neke agona Maswa menkongi Abolidia wachifa Abolidia totong mekonge Abolidia wachifa Abolidia totong mekonge Abolidia kamisari Kamisari chimante Abolidia kamisari Tongwe komene chimante
Bakia Joseph, ben petit.
Nentega balem abangora magagante Nentega ngorane abambagana magagante Nentega ngorane abambagana magagante Nentega ngorane abambagana magagante Oh shumambeno Oya matemako mambene Bashu mambeno Oya matemako mambene Agbo lide Chingola kembo aneme kongo Agbo lide Chingola kembo aneme kongo
Tambine agbo Pauline atem. Nebene retondu wako. Eko.
Hello and good evening, fellow Ambazonians, Africans. It's a privilege to come to you tonight from the great state of Texas, precisely Houston, Texas, with News Talk. News Talk. Tonight, I bring you a very, very crucial point on the reason Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians refuse to vote or abstain from French Cameroon elections on Sunday. That will be the singular subject of my discussion and the panel for tonight. So please again, thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and hit your share button if you are tuned in by way of Facebook or YouTube. Go ahead, send out the link and let others know that we are live. I'd like to welcome all of you from where we call Ground Zero, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. And if you are joining from Nigeria, from Sierra Leone, from South Africa, from Kenya, wherever, Ghana and so on, you are watching from, thank you. Thank you for tuning in again. We're going to be discussing the elections in Cameroon. In the past few days, we have discussed the possibility, the chances of the opposition in Cameroon coming out victorious on Sunday. But also in the midst of that, we've talked about Ambazonia's abstention from that election. Today, we are going to focus on that abstention, the abstention by Ambazonia. So, ladies and gentlemen, I again go ahead, hit your share button, let everybody know that we are live. We are live. Please stay tuned and I will be right back.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit.
All right. Thank you once more for joining, ladies and gentlemen. I am supposed to be joined by quite a handful of guests, starting from Professor Carson Ayangwe, John Ba Akuro, Sama Thomas, Uncle B, Mike Fusi, Dr. Epa. So far, just two of them are with me at the moment. But again, please go ahead and hit your share button if you are watching by Facebook or YouTube. let's get the platform populated before I bring you my talking point, which I consider very, very important tonight, because I think that it is high time we explain to Ambazonians the reason why Ambazonian leaders are saying Ambazonia cannot participate or take part in Cameroon elections coming up on Sunday. Yours truly have received quite a handful of messages stemming from the interviews I had with Rebecca Inonchon and Eric Chinger. And here so many people saying, Chris, you are just being intransigent. You guys have an opportunity for peace to resume, for the war to be over. As if we're in this for all these years, 9 years, for peace, or to get the conflict to be over. And I read some kind of fabrications that Mimi Mefo is out there making. I don't understand what journalism this lady is practicing. I think she's actually practicing propaganda, not journalism. I read an article there stating that, Ambazonian leaders don't want to participate in the elections because they don't want Issa Chiroma to win, because if Issa Chiroma wins, then those in prison will be released and those outside will lose their relevance. What a stupid argument to make. I see Mimi Mefo continuously craft out articles, and I see her putting them in quote as if somebody is talking to her, whereas it is just a figment of her imagination. Please, you want to do journalism, do verifiable journalism, and not sit there and fabricate stuff out of your mind and call it news. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to explain to you, and I hope that it makes sense to you. I do not hope to buy the conscience of everybody out there, but I hope to bring to your attention today the explanation why it doesn't make sense whatsoever for Ambazonia to step out to want to participate in the French Cameroon elections. We are not stopping anybody from voting, especially if you are in Ambazonia. If you feel safe to go and participate in the election, do it. Do it. None of our business. But I really want to use the opportunity of this show today to explain to you what we are up to, the logic, the wisdom behind we saying to the rest of Ambazonia, this is not our election. We don't have to participate. We have to stay away. We are shutting down. I want to explain. I'm going to bring you that reason, that explanation today. I hope that the rest of my guests will get on board. But while I wait for them to get on board, ladies and gentlemen, let me just send out a word to the restoration fighters in the Libya for a wonderful, wonderful job that they carried out today, actually sending some French Cameroon soldiers to visit with Patrick Ekema today in the Libya alone. It was very hot there, and Paul Tasson should be very worried. Paul Tasson should be very, very worried about what happened in Libya today. And talking about Libya, I will be coming back possibly next week to do an expose on Paul Tasson and the people that he is coercing to donate money for the CPDM in Libya. Now, these are people, you will hear from them, that is suffering on the ground. You are torturing our people. You are putting pain on our people. But if you can imagine how much money these same people are contributing to give to the CPDM, even development in cultural associations are making contributions to send to the CPDM. These are supposed to be apolitical organizations, but they are contributing money. Individuals, firms, chiefs, business people, poor people. They are contributing money to give to the CPDM to carry out their campaign. Of course, we know that money is not going anywhere near the CPDM machinery. That money will end between Paul Tasum, Paul Atanganji, Ngongo, Dion Gute, and a few others. That money will end there. It will end there. But the good thing is that no elections are taking place in the BLM. The BLM is locked down, completely locked down. And I hope that everybody back in the BLM listens to the sound of my voice. Stay in your house on Sunday. Stay home on Sunday. If you think that anything happened today, well, wait until Sunday. Wait until Sunday. But ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead, hit your share button. I really want to see a certain number on before I join. Before I bring you this monologue, which I consider very, very important. But let me bring in Dr. Anyangwe had just indicated. He can only join by phone. Let me see, I can bring him on. Let me see, I can bring him on to address us by phone. Let's see, Professor Anyangwe can address us by phone. And I would like to do that before I bring you my monologue for today. All right. So let's see if Prof. Anyangwe is available to speak to us. All right. Hello, Prof.
Yeah, what happened? And I'm about 2 minutes to share this funeral meeting which we have.
All right, let's make good use of those 2 minutes before you take off. So, give us a summary. I mean, you have been in the middle of this Ambazonian struggle for all the 9 years, and you are one Ambazonian that is very, very much trusted by Ambazonians. And you have added your voice to those of us who are saying no elections, no lot of political Cameroon elections in Ambazonia. Can you take these 2 minutes to explain to the people of Ambazonia why you are against French Cameroon organizing elections in Ambazonia, please?
Okay, this is it. Let me summarize it by saying there are 4 reasons, I think, why the so-called presidential elections in French Cameroon are redundant, not important, insignificant, and of little consequence as far as Ambazonia is concerned. 1, the people of Ambazonia cannot be seen as approbating and reprobating in one and the same breath. If we did that, we would be making an ass of ourselves. We would become a laughing stock. We would be seen as a people who do not truly want decolonization, a people who do not want liberation, and a people who cannot think strategically about what they really want. That's the first reason.
Okay.
The second reason is that Ambazonian participation makes no difference in the election's outcome, which has already been predetermined by French Cameroon. In French Cameroon, it is not voting that matters. It is the counting of the votes and officially announcing the results. 3, the French Cameroon colonial occupier will eventually come to a negotiation table the moment the scales fall off its eyes. And this has always happened to all colonization, where France in Algeria, Ethiopia and Eritrea, Portugal in Portuguese colonies, or whether you're talking of Sudan and South Sudan, America and the Vietnamese, all eventually come to a negotiation table when the scales fall off from the ice. And it will happen in the case of French Cameroon. The final reason, the fourth one which I see, is that the concept and practice of free, fair, and safe elections are a stranger to French Cameroon. People tend to forget that it is us, Ambazonians, who introduced in French Cameroon the very idea of free and fair elections, the very idea of multipartyism, the very idea of an electoral law, the very idea of an independent electoral commission. They took that, but they don't know, since they don't know the concept, they'll not be able to use it, they'll not be able to organize things according to plan. So French Cameroon has never, even during the time of French rule, been able to organize any free and fair election. It's not going to happen now. So for those several reasons, I don't think it's important for us to get involved in French Cameroon politics.
Wonderful. What do you think? What do you make of the argument I had Rebecca Enonchong here recently, and Eric Chinje, and a few others who are of the opinion that Ambazonia has a chance. Ambazonia has an opportunity to help take out Bia and then negotiate with whoever wins. In this case, Issa Chiruma.
No, I don't think so. Like I said, Ambazonia voting is not going to take out Bia because, as I said, it is not the voting that matters. It's the counting on the vote and proclamation. French Cameroon will count the vote. Their Constitutional Commission will proclaim the result. Full stop. Ambazonia is irrelevant on that issue. Even the argument that if you give French Cameroon a chance is actually not here or there. Remember, people tend to forget the long history of these people. We gave them a chance at Fumban. What did they do? The instant responded with cunning and duplicity. We gave them a chance on 1st October when we formed a two-state federation with them as a connection. What was their response? In 72, political betrayal, colonial annexation, and vandalization of the whole of our territory. Again, shortly after 1972, we gave them a chance when we legitimately sought fair and differential political, educational security, and economic coexistence. But in 1984, they responded with a damning and demeaning insult of formal colonial annexation. Again, we give them a chance in 1990 when we insisted on their being introduced multipartyism and all the things which I just mentioned. What was their response in 1972? They responded with electoral fraud, murderous violence, stealing of the victory of one of our own. Again, we gave them a chance in 1996 when we legitimately called again for the return to the two-state federation, which we agreed on with them. They responded with the continuing charade of the so-called tripartite meeting, an increased level of terrorization of our people. Again, in 2016, recently, we gave them a chance when once more we legitimately cried out for respect of our cultural space, for political reform by way of return to a two-state federation, social reform by way of safeguarding our legal and educational systems, and economic reform by way of infrastructural development. What was their response? Was the ongoing genocide being perpetrated against our people. We gave them a chance again by accepting and being present at pre-talks. In Canada, what was their response? They escaped and shamelessly began to tell lies and continue with their genocide, war crimes against humanity in our land. So these are people who are incorrigible, who for them don't see us as human beings, as beasts. So what chance are people talking about? Give them what chance? Giving them a chance talking about giving them a chance would mean can only be one thing: advocating for submission to that country, and that means surrender to a fate far worse than the slaves of the Roman Empire.
What do you make, Prof, of the confessions of Issa Chiroma and the prescriptions he is giving should he become president of La République du Cameroon? He is talking about a referendum. I have also heard of national reconciliation and stuff, and I mean, this is what is being pushed out there by the likes of Eric Chinje, Rebecca Inonchong, and you see lots of Ambazonians falling for this. What do you make of Issa Chiroma's confession and the prescription he hoped to deliver should he win?
Issa Chiroma is blowing hot and cold at the same time. You know, he says one thing, then he retracts. And it's a very, and this is how I'm so worried, because I do not pay attention to little things. What is Issa Chiroma talking about national reconciliation? It's another package way of talking about the one indivisible. That's what he's talking about. I heard him talk about, the resources would be centered in Yaoundé. It means the oil and other will be centered in Yaoundé.
Right.
You know? So these are people who, for his own convenience, thinks he can say things that at the moment appear appealing to a section of our people, while his true intent is hidden in his own mind. I don't believe Issa Chiroma will do the things he says. And he's talking about releasing of prisoners, referendum, and so on. He can't say he's going to organize a referendum, because he knows very well if we were to do that, people will say no to cohabitation of French Cameroon. And so he blows now and talks about, okay, I'll organize a referendum, but national reconciling what? No. We'll cross that bridge. We'll give them several opportunities to have national reconciliation, which they rejected. We're not going to be like the washerman donkey, being fooled over and over and over and over. We'll keep on falling for the same thing. No, I don't see that happening. I don't see. So while he made statement in Yaoundé and Bamenda, as soon as he came back to French Cameroon, he started retracting what he was saying, you know, making conditions here and there. It's going to be this. And then now, he refers to us now and says secessionists.
Yeah.
Imagine. And then his narrative of the history, or the historical development of our connection with them, is very, very selective. He chooses those areas which concern, he jumps from saying, the British didn't give independence because they said we're economically not viable. Then from there, he jumps out to say, the UN said we must achieve independence by joining them. It was not as straightforward as that. Look at Northern Cameroon. 1608 is very, very clear. He didn't even bother to read that resolution, because the way the UN treated Northern Cameroon is not the same way the UN treated the Southern Cameroons. For the Northern Cameroon, it was a straightforward case of you being part of the northern region of Nigeria. It is stated there in that resolution. For our own case, there are a series of activities that need to take place, meetings and so on, agreement between the two sides that need to take place. And the agreement was very, very clear. We form a two-state federation. Chiroma has not been able to explain why would the so-called independent republic in 1961 all of a sudden become a federal state of East Cameroon. Why? They've not, neither him nor Kamto have been able to explain that. They gloss over it because it's very, very convenient for them. No. We cannot continue to fall for all this charade. For me, we've crossed the Rubicon. There is no going back to any form of connection with French Cameroon. The only form of connection will be in the context of the broader context of the continental whatever things, African Union, whatever. Beyond that, no. We've seen this for over 70 years. We know them. We know their mindset. We know they can say one thing to the next day. They change their mind, say another thing. So why do we continue to fall for this charade? I don't understand. You know, for people like Rebecca, whom I respect, for people like Eric, whom I respect, and I thought they would see this thing deeper and deeper. And when Rebecca wrote her piece, I said, goodness, this is something. This is a lady who sees this. But I don't know when she retracted on the things she said. I don't know. But I thought she was being strategic when I read that piece she wrote. So, no. We cannot go back to any form of dealing with those people. In any case, why would French Cameroon keep on insisting on colonizing us? Why? Why annex us? Did France give them independence on condition that they annex us and colonize us? No. So are they saying they are incapable of existing on their own as an independent state? Let them answer this question. Let's hear. But like I said, the scales would eventually fall off the ice and they'll come around. Every colonizing country has suffered that fate. There are France, for example. They kept on shouting, l'Algérie est française, l'Algérie est française. In other words, Algeria is part of France.
Yeah.
So for them, they saw the Algerian revolutionaries as secessionists, as terrorists. When the critical moment came, the scales fell off from the ice, and they had to pack off. The same thing had happened to Portugal, where for Portugal, the Portuguese colonies were part of Portugal, separated from the mother country by accident of geography. So the revolutionaries in all the Portuguese countries in Africa were secessionists and terrorists. When the crunch came, they realized it and they moved on.
Yeah.
Ethiopia, Imperial Ethiopia, we did the same thing what Ahijo did to us when they annexed Eritrea. We're calling them Eritreans as secessionists, as terrorists. But when the moment came, they changed. So this is the historical lesson which people are forgetting and refusing to learn. We must chart our own way as Ambazonia of Southern Cameroon and stop this thing behaving as if we need French Cameroon to exist. As if French Cameroon is the ultimate, the alpha and omega in our existence. No, we must stand up and challenge them. We always asking them, leave us alone. That's all we're asking. We're asking not a damn for nothing from them. Leave us alone. Is that too hard? That's my question.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. I know you are heading out for a meeting. I won't hold you any longer. You have a great night, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Okay, that was Professor Carson Anyangwe, ladies and gentlemen, speaking on this idea that Ambazonians should go out on Sunday and vote in French Cameroon elections. As I said from the beginning, I have designed this broadcast today to particularly explain where we are coming from as Ambazonians by saying it doesn't make sense for us to go out and participate in Cameroon elections. We have no skin at all in the game. We have no skin in the game, and that is going to be the subject, ladies and gentlemen, the subject of my monologue for you today. No skin in the game. No skin in the game. For us to go participating in French Cameroon election. I did this particularly to address this issue because I have heard a lot, received lots of phone calls about it. Does Ambazonia have any skin in the game? As Cameroon once again marches to the polls this Sunday to elect a president, one question has echoed sharply through the corridors of conscience and conviction across the southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. Again, and the question is, does Ambazonia have any skin in the game? To the Ambazonian people, that question is not just rhetorical, it is existential. For 9 years, they have endured bombings, killings, torture, displacement, and destruction under the very system that now seeks legitimacy through yet another election. The call from Ambazonian leadership is clear: total abstention and a complete lockdown of the territory. But as always, there are voices often from the fringes arguing that perhaps this election presents a golden opportunity to change the regime in Yaoundé, to unseat Paul Biya, and to usher in a possible peace. But let's pause and think for a moment. Peace. Peace under what arrangement? Peace under whose terms? Peace at what price? For 42 years, Paul Biya has perfected the art of rigging, manipulating, and maintaining power through sham elections. Every 5 or 7 years, Cameroon stages what it calls a democratic exercise, but which in truth is a ritual of reaffirming tyranny. Opposition parties line up like sheep for the slaughter, each believing against all logic that perhaps this time the votes will count, that perhaps this time change will come through the ballot box. And every time, the results are the same. Paul Biya wins again, and the circle of deceit continues. Now, some suggest that Ambazonia should put skin in the game, that we should align tactically with opposition forces to topple Paul Biya. But to do that is to betray everything, ladies and gentlemen, the Ambazonian revolution stands for. It is to concede that we are part of the same political community, that our struggle is not for independence, but for reform within the so-called one and indivisible Cameroon. It is to kneel once more under the same flag that has drenched our land in blood. If Ambazonia were to participate in French Cameroon elections, even symbolically, it would amount to recognizing Cameroon's sovereignty over our land. That single act would erase decades of struggle, disarm our moral argument before the world, and render our sacrifices meaningless. It would tell Yaoundé and the international community that, despite our cries for self-determination, we still see ourselves as part of the system that oppresses us. Participation would also have strategic implications, because once you recognize a system by engaging in its electoral process, you cannot unrecognize it. If Biya wins, as history has shown he will, then Ambazonia would have no ground left to claim that it does not belong to the Republic of Cameroon. We will have no ground to say that. We would have, by our own hands, destroyed the foundation of our case before international law. We would have renowned our claim to sovereignty in exchange for a seat at a fraudulent table. Even worse, ladies and gentlemen, if Biya loses and another candidate, say Issa Chiroma, rises to power, the damage will be no less severe. By voting, we would have already endorsed that successor. We would have said, in effect, we believe your system is legitimate. We accept your process. We acknowledge your rule over us. And once that happens, Ambazonia's status as a separate and distinct entity vanishes in the eyes of the world. Then we have no case, no legs to stand on. Issa Chiroma's sudden transformation into a prophet of peace, forgiveness, National reconciliation must not deceive anyone, not in Ambazonia. His campaign rhetoric about a referendum or reconciliation and national forgiveness is not aimed at justice. It is aimed at mere peace and preservation. He is not recognizing the uniqueness of the Ambazonian cause, the Ambazonian conflict. He is simply trying to repackage it as another Cameroonian problem to be managed, to be solved within the framework of a grand national dialogue, grand national reconciliation. This is not new. We saw the same playbook in 2019 when Bia's so-called grand national dialogue pretended to address the conflict, but ended up being a public relations show to calm international pressure. That grand national dialogue treated the Ambazonian struggle as a domestic grievance, a matter of poor governance and marginalization, rather than what it truly is: a question of decolonization and self-determination. That is what the Ambazonian conflict is about. Chiruma's language follows that same deceptive trajectory. Chiruma speaks as though the problem of the southern Cameroons is the same as the problem of unemployment in Douala or poor infrastructure in Yaoundé. It is not the same. But Ambazonia's case is not a Cameroon issue. It is a southern Cameroon's issue, born of international injustice and colonial betrayal. To frame it otherwise is to erase our history, deny our identity, and whitewash our cause. Abstaining from this election is not weakness, it is strategy. It is a bold statement of non-recognition. By staying away, staying out of Cameroon's election, Ambazonia declares to the world, we are not part of this process because we are not part of that country. It is the same logic that drove colonized peoples across the world, ladies and gentlemen, to boycott the institutions of their oppressors until independence was achieved. To vote in French Cameroon's election is to participate in a lie. To abstain is to expose that lie for what it is. Every empty polling station in Ambazonia is a vote for independence. Every locked market and silent street in Ambazonia is a statement that says, we do not belong here. We do not belong in La Republic. This is how Ambazonia negotiates from a position of strength, not by joining their dance, but by refusing to play their music. When the guns go silent and the dust of the election settles, ladies and gentlemen, Yaoundé will look westward and see a territory that did not participate, a people who refused to be co-opted, a nation that stood apart. That image speaks louder than any ballot ever could. Those who argue for participation forget too quickly. They forget that in 1961, the Southern Cameroons voted in the United Nations organized plebiscite to join or not to join a union, not to absorb and colonize. They forget that since 2016, the same regime now calling for peaceful elections has burned down villages, executed our civilians, and imprisoned thousands. They forget that every dialogue has been a monologue of deceit. If history has taught us anything, if history has taught Ambazonia anything, it is that The beer system cannot be changed from within. It must be dismantled from without. And the only legitimate force capable of confronting it on moral and political grounds is Ambazonia, the people who have chosen to stand outside that system. The Ambazonian revolution or cause does not need to cast ballots in Yaoundé's election. It has already cast its vote in the blood of our martyrs, in the ashes of burned homes, in the defiance of mothers and fathers who have refused to give up. That is our vote. That is our democracy. When we say we have no skin in this game, we are not being indifferent. We are being intentional. We are saying that our destiny does not lie in the shifting sands of Cameroon's politics, but in the steadfast rock of our own determination. Even if Issa Chiruma wins, even if the talks about a referendum, it would be it would be foolish to believe that he, Issa Chiruma, a child of the same system that has murdered our people, would suddenly become our savior. Issa's referendum would be framed and controlled by Yaoundé. It would be another trap, another dialogue of deceit designed to dissolve Ambazonia into Cameroon's political bloodstream. True negotiation begins when both parties recognize each other as equals. Ambazonia cannot approach the table as a participant in Cameroon's domestic politics and expect to be treated as a sovereign people. That is what we voted for in 1961. We negotiate from strength when we hold our ground, when we assert that we are not one of Cameroon's internal problems. We are a separate nation with a right to exist. This election offers Yaoundé an illusion of stability. That is what you go and vote. You are telling them to tell the world that stability has returned. Let them have it. Let the world watch as they go through their predictable charade. Our duty is not to validate it, but to expose it. And when the dust settles, Ambazonia will still be here, unbound, unbroken, unbought. So does Ambazonia have any skin in French Cameroon elections? No, because this is not our game. We are not players in Cameroon's political theater. We are authors of our own destiny. Every effort to drag us into that election is an effort to erase our sovereignty, to recolonize our minds, and to reset our struggle back to zero. That's the point. By staying out, we remain true to our cause. By abstaining, we affirm our freedom. By refusing to vote, we vote for Ambazonia. And that is my talking point, ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring in the Right Honorable Dr. Anthony Epa, who is the new leader of the interim government of Ambazonia. Let us see what is going on here. Dr. Epa, I hope you can hear me, sir.
Yes, Comrade Chris, I can hear you very well.
All right. Give us a moment. Just don't touch anything. Your picture doesn't look good here, but don't touch anything, please. Okay. That will be taken care of here. Let the technicians take care of it. All right. I think they have taken care of it. So, Dr. Epa, it's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, you are the new leader of the interim government of Ambazonia, and this is the first time you are coming out to speak and address the people of Ambazonia. So, tell me, sir, what you make of these French Cameroon elections being planned for Ambazonia?
Comrade Chris, before I come to that question, let me thank our people, the Ambazonians, who are steadfast in this struggle. They have lost a lot of things. I will everything because their hope and their faith in believing that we win the revolution is solid. I also want to thank those who are illegally detained or persecuted in court, and they are now jailed in La République jails across La République du Cameroon and even Ambazonia, and those in the refugee camps all over the world, especially Nigeria and Ghana, and particularly our boys, the restoration fighters, who have given us hope, who without them will not be thinking about this liberation, because La République would have done the worst. I want to say one thing about this election. I shall ask. Professor Anyangwe has eloquently about what I would have said. We don't have the same country. Let our people know that we are a separate people. We have been with these people before the colonialism came. German Cameroon included Chad, part of Equatorial Guinea, part of East Africa, and the name Cameroon is from Janga. We are not crayfish. Our own area was different. In fact, education started from I would say from our own area in Bimbia. All these things that we say Cameroon, and some of us believe in either we're one country. We are not. We are not. Why do we join them for their own elections? For those who come from Southern Cameroons, I will tell them from Southern Cameroons, I will not call them that the Ambazonians, because Ambazonians believe in independence. But they come from that territory of former Southern Cameroons. And they are in Yaoundé perpetrating this falsehood of one Cameroon. They didn't think twice. Okay. They are Cameroonians who are in Gabon. If you go and do elections in Cameroon and go to Cameroon, Republic of Cameroon. Likewise, those in our territory who believe that they are Cameroonians, you would have gone to register in French Cameroon, cross the boundary, be in the electoral list, and vote there. Don't give us headache. They are threatening our people to go and vote, especially in small villages where you have all these duos and the army and their colonial administrators. I know it for fact. Some of you might be forced to go out and vote, but know that it is wrong. They have prepared their uniforms for you to wear them, and they are going to take pictures and say, "Oh, this area voted like this. This area did this," just to justify their evil intentions, like what Professor Anyangwe have just said. And I'm very, very sorry for our brothers who think that state federation, no, they don't even know what they want. They just talk about federation. Either whether it is 4-state federation, where southern zone, they call it Southwest Province, will be attached to littoral, and the north.
Say, oh, this area voted like this. This area.
And the southern zone will be with the northern zone will be attached to Western Province, and then the 2 cubes of sugar are just automatically dissolved by that 4-state federation, or maybe 10-state federation, which will never work. These people don't want to hear. La Republic does not even want to hear about 2-state federation as it was in 1961. They don't. They don't want to hear it. Even in their so-called grand national dialogue, very big title, grand evil national dialogue. Some of our brothers were crying for federation, and then they were laughing at them. And use the time, either Esa Jeruma or whosoever is going to win in that country, we think of going back to 2-state federation. No, they don't love us. So no one goes into that election. You go there, you are going there for your own. Anything you find, don't say you were not advised.
Dr. Ipa, if I may ask you, what do you make of Ambazonians who are saying, let's go and vote out Mr. Biya, and then vote in maybe Chiroma, with whom we can negotiate? What do you make of that logic?
Comrade Chris, like what Professor Nyangwe said, we don't care what is happening in Laos. Don't. That is their election. It is not Ambazonians. We cannot go there and legitimize what they are doing. Whether it's Kamto, whether it's Esther Jeroma, or whosoever wins that election, we can sit down with them and talk. But we cannot allow our territory or the Ambazonians to vote. In other words, really based on even what you have monologue, it means that we have no case for us to present. Even in the international community, we are going to fail because we legitimize it, and meaning that we withdrew from seeking our full independence to compromising with a regime that none of them can be trusted. None. They are all liars. But we can talk with them. I will talk with Esa Jeroma if he wins. If it is Biya, we will make sure that Biya is going to bow. We are going to drain that economy the more. We are not giving up. That is it.
All right. Dr. Ipa, one more question before I get over to the other guests that I have here. An event took place in the BLM today, where we learned the restoration fighters there brought down about 4 Cameroon soldiers. What can you tell Ambazonians of that?
Fellow Ambazonians, those who said the Red Dragons are after Field Marshal, our Field Marshal, the King of Ambazonia, they have not seen what has happened. And it's going to continue in all the counties. No one knew that Fako was going to come up. No one knew that Lebiela was going to come up, especially the great boys of Lebiela. I hear a lot of people claiming it. Let them claim it. But the truth is there. The truth is there. When you claim anything and you know you are telling lies, it will catch up with you one day. It has caught up with some people, and it's going to catch up with some of us who continue to claim anything that you don't even know about. I will end it there. Bravo to our boys in Labielem, the Red Dragons. Bravo to all the other fighters all over our territory. This interim government is going to support any group fighters anywhere. So far, they are doing a good job going against La République du Cameroon. Don't touch our people, please. Let them be your shield. You are defending them. Once you do a good job, we'll praise you. But once you start doing a very bad job, taking ransom, holding people hostage, we shall speak out and advise you to do that. I want to thank the Red Dragons for what they have done today. And we pray that God is your shield and you will continue to do the work. As far as God is concerned, and La République du Cameroon in the spiritual realm, they know that God has given Ambazonia the independence, full independence. They know in the spiritual realm, even in their spiritual realm, some of them know it very well. That's why you see what is happening in Yaoundé. And that's why you see them going to their president with all those occultic practices. But to God, that is nothing. Ambazonians, we have won in the spiritual realm. Not evil spiritual realm, holy spiritual realm. Because there are two spirits, the evil spirit and the Holy Spirit. So let us be steadfast.
All right, Doug, hang in there. Let me bring in Mike Fusi, Sama Thomas, and Bruno, who are also here, part of the team tonight. Let me start with Sama Thomas. You have been following this debate on whether we should put skin in the game in French Cameroon elections or not. Again, I designed this broadcast so that we can articulate to Ambazonians why we do not see the need. What would you have to add on that, sir? We can hear you. I think you are muted. You are muted. While you adjust your microphone there, let's have Mike Fusi come on, please.
Yes, Comrade Chris, it's good. It's good being with you again today. Hello to the new leader of the interim government, Dr. Epa, Honorable Bruno and Selma. Greetings to you, and greetings to you, fellow Ambazonians, and especially to our warriors and heroes on the ground who are holding our territory and defending it from the illegal occupation of La République du Cameroon. Continue doing what you're doing. It is now 9 years and counting. They gave us two weeks. You have proven beyond any reasonable doubt that Ambazonia belongs to you. Given the lockdown, the ongoing lockdown that has been extremely successful, it now shows to the world who controls Ambazonia. Now, with regards to the case about whether or not the Southern Cameroon should take part in the so-called elections in La République Cameroon, I have one thing to say. You see, Chiroma is a very cunning somebody. You have to be very keen when you are dealing with him. You cannot imagine that this is someone who for for decades has been a minister under Paul Biya, and he just turned around and has been able to convince people to believe in him as being the Messiah that's going to save the same government he has served for decades. Now, let me tell you this. Chiroma is trying to win the game before the match even before the match started by trying to lure Ambazonians to endorse him or to support him or to take part in their so-called elections. Let me explain. Let's imagine that we now go in that are taking place in La Republic of Cameroon. And tomorrow, because we are hoping that when Chiroma wins, we'll go and negotiate with him. And tomorrow he wins, and we'll go to negotiate with him. And we say, by the way, we want to go back to our country as was in the past. And what would Chiroma say? Chiroma would say, but you just took part in our elections. How can you now say that you want to go back to being an independent state when you just participated in our elections? That means you are part of us. What then are we going to say? What are we going to say if Chiroma says, you just took part in our elections? You cannot now tell us that you are not citizens of La République du Cameroon. We will not be able to defend that decision. We have stated clearly that we are not part of La République du Cameroon. Taking part in their election completely defeats everything we have done up to now. It defeats our essence of having our own anthem. It defeats the essence of us having our own flag. It completely rubbishes everything we have stood for the past 9 years. So it is a trap, and some of us are falling for it. Let us be very careful. And besides, when you are going into an argument with somebody, you have to first of all ask yourself what you are hoping to get out of it. What really would Ambazonians be hoping to get out of any participation in La République du Cameroon's election? I don't see the benefit. I still don't see the benefit. Because, Comrade Chris, let me paint you another scenario again. By those who believe that Chiroma is going to win the election and be the favorite person with whom we should negotiate, should also tell me that this scenario I'm going to paint here will be correct, that after the election, that Chiroma is going to be pronounced the winner. By who? I don't know. I don't yet know that person in that country that was pronounced Chiroma as being the winner of that election. And then after that, what is supposed to happen? You must also envision that the likes of Paul Biya himself leading the way, Shantabia, Ngongo, Atanganji, all of the back of deplorables that constitute that government, that we will see them packing their bags and flocking to their airports, taking chartered flights and getting out of that country. Because given what these people have done, there is no way that they will be able to stay in that country if Chiroma were to win, because it will imply that they will be tried for the crimes that they have committed. Can someone envision this scenario and tell me that it's something that's going to happen? I don't think so. And thirdly, the clamor for Ambazonians to take part in this so-called election is based on some falsehood, because they are giving the impression that Chiroma's path to victory goes through the southern Cameroons, which is not true. Chiroma has a path to victory in La République du Cameroon. Given what we have seen, first of all, he already has a good cache of votes coming from the three northern regions, as they call it. He has the littoral, I believe. He has the west, if the votes were counted free and fair. And even in the center, I think he will be able to get a good number of votes in the center. What does Paul Biya have left for him then? Maybe he has the south. Maybe he has part of the center. Maybe the south and maybe the east. That is not a path to victory for Paul Biya. So, given that we already have a path to victory for Chiroma, as I've explained,
Start and narrator updates window. Next button. Exiting narrator.
why then is this obsession with the fact that the Southern Cameroons or the Southern Cameroonians must take part in this so-called election? It is not necessary. All that Chiroma needs to do is to protect the votes that he already has in their country. Chiroma can win the election with the votes that currently exist in their country. They don't need the Southern Cameroons for him to win. When he has won the election, he can then approach us and we can sit down and talk. But to tell us to go in and take part in this election at this time is a trap, because once we take part in that election, we have already defeated any reason that we may present later on for regaining our independence and sovereignty. Thank you.
All right, let's hear from Samuel Thomas, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
No, thank God. Thank you for having me come to Chris, and let me say hi to my fellow comrades in the panel. Well, the likes of Eric Chinje are saying that we should join La Republic in their sham elections that they are organizing. I wonder if Eric Chinje and whosoever that is clamoring that Southern Cameroon should join La Republic in their sham elections have ever asked themselves what happened to the elections of 1992. Did Southern Cameroonians not participate in that elections? Didn't the Southern Cameroonian won that election? Did they allow us to rule during that time? I also heard Eric Chinje said in 2004 they wanted to constitute a single candidate for all the opposition parties. But he did not tell us exactly what happened in that night, in 2004. In 2004, they elected Ndamjoya. They chose Ndamjoya over the SDF, which was the biggest party in parliament then. Frundi told them if they had to choose any candidate to represent them, they should go by the position of strength. And if they have to go by the position of strength, the SDF stands out. If not, the SDF will go in all alone. The SDF went all alone and defeated all of them, including even the CPTF. Did they give the victory to Frundi? They didn't. With all the elections that the Southern Cameroon participated in that damn shit country and won, did they ever respect the verdict of those elections? Now, let me come back to the crux of the matter now, where we are today. Issa Chiruma, who is saying that Southern Cameroon should vote for him to become the president of La Republic of Cameroon, was Issa Chiruma the same person about 3 years ago who said Southern Cameroon were terrorists? Is he now clamoring for the same terrorists 3 years ago to vote for him? So terrorists are good when they have to vote for Issa Chiruma. Thirdly, why is our vote too important for people like Issa Chiruma or La Republic of Cameroon as a whole? We are just 2 cubes of sugar. Or in their percentage classification, we are just 13%. If this 13% does not vote, 87% will vote. That is the majority in La Republic of Cameroon. And it will still mean something. Can Chiruma galvanize 87% of the votes in La Republic to vote him in as Mr. President? If at all he is coming to us in good faith, he will now say, okay, now that I've been voted as president by 87%, let me turn now the 2 kilos of sugar or the 13% and say, my brothers, Why are we fighting? If at all we are, dear brothers, can you all come for us to sit and talk? Must we participate in that election before Isaac Churuma will now say, after the election, we will sit and talk? Fourthly, is the playing field level in such a way that even if Isaac Churuma's 87% voted for him in Latin Cameroon, they will allow him to rule? Didn't that 87% voted for Kamto 7 years ago? Was that victory given to Kamto? Has Isa Churuma forgotten so soon and La Republican citizens that just about 2 months or 3 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, Jean Macron in France, or they say it's Macron, said Paul Biya and Alassane Dramane Ouattara of Ivory Coast are the best presidents in Africa, that if there is any change, any meaningful change to take place in Africa, these are the two persons that can bring about that meaningful change. Do they think that France now will just let their man, Paul Biya, to say, no, Paul Biya, you are no longer using for us, so go. Isa Churuma should come and replace you. They are a joke. If La Republicans were sincere enough, and serious that they need a meaningful change in that country, the day Kamto was rejected out of that race, that was the day they could have said, in this country, even the Chuma himself could have said, as Kamto is rejected, so too I am rejected, so too is Joshua Ose. They are talking about Southern Cameroonians to join them. Is Joshua Ose not there? Why can't they vote for Joshua Ose to now turn around and meet his brothers? If at all we are his brothers, to say, my brothers, you should come and let us negotiate. Let me keep that aside. Had it been they were serious, they could have said there is no election to take place in this country if Kamto is not reinstated into this race. As Kamto was rejected, it therefore means every other person who is not of the CPGM ranking or the original candidate is also rejected. Are they waiting to say that after the original candidate is confirmed by Atanganji and their electoral commission, what they call it, whatsoever they call it, they will now go back to the courts to meet the other Atangana to challenge the result in courts? Or they will now, after wasting their time with the ballot box, say, okay, we will go by what is useful in all ramifications so far as the revolution is concerned to take this credit out. This is the time. We cannot join them to waste our time that we are going to repose. By the way, the Southern Cameroons is not part of La Republic of Cameroon. If they are only clamoring about Southern Cameroons join them in their voting, have they gone to, let me say, Equatorial Guinea and asked them to join them in their voting? Why only Southern Cameroonians? Don't they know that there is also the northern part of the Southern Cameroons that is in Nigeria? Why don't they go to northern Nigeria and say, or northern Cameroons in Nigeria and say, come and participate in this our election? For this is what we know was Cameroon, that they are claiming the Southern Cameroons to be part of their damn shit country. We are not going to participate in that type of a sham elections, for it is not an election. It is not even a selection. The person, the king, is there just to be confirmed by the colonizers of such a king, which is France. The day they will take France out of their electoral process in La Republic Cameroon, you can now be talking about elections in La Republic du Cameroon. Failure to take France, like Cote d'Ivoire has done, like Mali has done, like Niger has done, maybe Chad as well. Nothing called credible elections will ever take place in La Republic du Cameroon. I've given them how many percentage Paul Biya is going to win with. 85% that Paul Biya will win with. Any changes is talk about technology. That they will use technology to legitimize and defend their victory. Who told him that 7 years ago That technology wasn't there. Didn't Kamto and the rest stand in court with the written sheets from the polls signed by CPDM representative that this is the original return sheet from the polls, and Atangana was seated there at the court with a file with nobody's signature there saying this is the original one, and this is the authentic result. Did they change that result? Is it now that Eric Chinje and the rest will now use which technology to do what with in La Republic of Cameroon? Has Atananji and Paul Biya not told these guys that what is impossible all over the world is possible in La Republic of Cameroon?
All right.
The only thing that can happen in that country is not to go to the polls. Is for them to fight and kill Paul Biya, kill themselves, let the blood of liberty in that country water the tree of liberty.
All right.
Failure to do that, Paul Biya will die there. Frank Biya will come and rule for the next 50 years, and they will finally turn it to a kingdom. No elections will ever change anything in that damn country called La Cameroon.
All right.
Correct.
Thank you. Before I bring in Bruno and Maître Nikamp, who are also part of the show, I like Ambazonians to look at something. Now, there is a coalition that is being led by Issa Chiroma, a coalition of other political movements and parties in La République du Cameroon. They came together and agreed on an MOU, Memorandum of what? What do you call it? Memorandum of Understanding. They agreed that if Chiroma should win, Chiroma will rule for a term, one term. And within that one term, they will work on the constitution, they will do many other things. Now, I'm passing this as a warning to Ambazonia.